Hey everyone, welcome back to a tutorial series on a RAG-powered AI application, and this is part 15. So this is what the current structure of our application, where we have integrated PDF as a data source, URL content, SQLite injection, and the Postgres SQL injection. Now we are going to enhance or extend this source support for a MongoDB. MongoDB. Why I choose a MongoDB? Because this is another flavor of data source which is heavily being used to store the data, and it is known as a not only SQL database, which in short we know as NoSQL database. It is also known as a document database. If you just go to the website of MongoDB, you can just set up, and this is what you will get. You have to log into the MongoDB website. This is what it explained to you. Okay, this is how you can set up a cluster. But what we're going to do, rather than just going for this cloud-based deployment for MongoDB, I'm going to explain how you can set up a MongoDB with the help of a Docker container by using a Bitnami image, so that you have a complete control on the MongoDB server. So let's get into the setup part, and we will add or load some data as well, so that we have a very solid and powerful knowledge base as well, which we are going to use to add a new data source on our application. That we're going to see in our next part. In this part, I'm just going to explain how you can set up a MongoDB, how you can load the data, and how you can access the data from a MongoDB. So let's get into the setup part. So the very first thing which you need to do is you have to just create a volume, which is mongo_db, and the command is very straightforward. All you need to do is you need to just use docker volume create and MongoDB data, right? The next thing is you need a command which you can see on my screen, which is very straightforward. Docker run in a detached mode, and the host, and I'm just hosting this on a local machine. So that's the reason I just use the network as a host. Name is MongoDB. Then these are the two environmental variable, MongoDB username and MongoDB password. You can set up whatever you want, because this is just a local, and after this tutorial, I'm going to scrap this. And then we have this MongoDB database. You can just use any name, whatever you want. You have to just keep in mind, you have to just allow this empty password as yes, otherwise you will get into a trouble. Then this is a volume mounting part like MongoDB data, which we have created, and we are just mounting that inside the Bitnami MongoDB. And this is the latest MongoDB image for a Bitnami. So let me just run this. So let's get to the Docker desktop and see if we have our MongoDB up and running, right? So now you can see we have a MongoDB up and running. So I'm just getting inside the terminal, right? The next thing what we need is we have to just upload the data, right? So for that, what I have done is this is the data which we have used to just load in the Postgres SQL, where we have a question and an answer related to the system design concept, right? So if you have been following along, this is what the data looks like, right? Now in MongoDB, we have to feed in a JSON format. So it's a JSON format which MongoDB accepts, right? So what I did is I just created a simple program through which I just converted this as this tuple of list, right, which we have into a JSON format. So what I'm doing, it's a very simple program which I have written. I'm just iterating through this entire list, and it has tuple with two values, question and answer. So this is how I am just calling, right? So now I am iterating through and appending that as a JSON object like question. We are just putting a question, and answer tag is having an answer, right? Once we have that list, I'm just opening up this JSON file and just dumping the entire data. So basically I'm writing it, and then once I run this, I will be getting this MongoDB data, right? This is what the data looks like, right? So if you run this code, MongoDB creator, then you will have this. Okay, awesome. Now you have a data, right? So what we need, the next thing is we need to copy this data to our container. Okay, so what I'm doing, this is the place where I have this JSON created, right? So let me just quickly show you. This is the location. So we have our MongoDB underscore data, right? And then Mongo underscore init, and then we have system underscore design underscore FAQs.json. This is the same path which we have on my machine. And now I'm copying this inside the container in the temporary folder with the same name what we have here. Once this is copied here, The next command which I'm going to use, you will get all these commands in the description part because I'm going to just put all these commands as is so that you can just use from there. So this is the another command. If you just see here what I'm doing, I'm just calling from the container this MongoImport utility, which requires your DB name, your collection name, your file through which you want to load the data. Collection is nothing but in the MongoDB world is pretty much same like a table, right? So what in relational DB is table, the same thing happens in a MongoDB as a collection, right? Username, password, and authentication database is rag app underscore DB. It's the same DB and drop. If this collection is already existing, it is going to drop, and Babos is to just give us the Babos like the comprehensive login. So once I run this, now we can see it just connected to the MongoDB and just added the 733 documents, right? So now we have 733 documents imported. Now, if I just come here and if I just get into the shell Mongo sh, right, with this command, what I'm doing, I'm just inside the container and I'm just running a Mongo Shell. For that, we need a username and authentication database, right? And then it will ask for the password. You have to give the password, whatever the password you have set. Okay, so now I'm inside the password. Now I'm inside the database. So I'm just gonna say, okay, show me the collection, like how many collection we have. So now I can see this is the same collection name which we have given in this command, right? Okay, so this is my collection and the same collection has been created. Now we can simply ask for the count document. This is the command which we have to use, which is DB, then the system, then the collection name, and then the count document method I need to invoke, right? So now I'm getting 733 documents, which makes sense, right? Then what I can do, I can just ask for the first 5 records. And for that, what I can do, I can just use the same command, but instead of using a function count document, I'm just using find. Find is going to return us all the records, but I'm limiting that to 5. It is pretty much same like what we have in the Postgres SQL. Select star from XYZ table and then limit the number of records we want to extract. Right. So now we can see these are the 5 records which are being written, and this is how the data gets stored. We have a question, an answer, and then MongoDB attach an ID to every document which we have loaded. So document is nothing but like a record in a table, right? So as I mentioned, table is same as collection, and the record is same as the document in the collection, right? So now we have 5. Right. The another way which I wanted to show you how we can make the connection to the MongoDB with the Python. So this is where I'm just going to use this connection string. And for that, what we need a pymongo, right? So pymongo is a Python client library, and this is the Python base. So we know the command to install it, pip install pymongo, right? So once you've done this, you will be having a pymongo install. Since I have already done it, that's the reason I'm getting this already installed, right? So this is the connection string, which is pretty much standard like what we have to do MongoDB. Then we have to pass in the username, password, then at host and the port and the database name, and the authentication source is the database through which I wanted to authenticate, where the user is actually registered, right? Here, actually, we are using an encoded value. Why we are using that? Because we have a special character, and that's the reason we have to encode it. So that's the another difference which you have to keep in mind. So once we have this string created, I'm using this Mongo client where I will be feeding in this Mongo URI. This is the connection string. And once I just feed in that, I will be having a connection to the MongoDB. Right. So once this is done, then I'm just simply counting a documents, like how many documents is pretty much same, but the method name is different because once you have an object for your collection, I mean, this is just, the pymongo syntax. So you don't have to worry about that. That is something which we're going to cover in the next video in more detail, like how this works. But I'm just explaining this is how you can, connect it to the MongoDB. By the connection string, you can just call some functions through which, you can just ensure that, you are connected to the right DB and you are just hitting the right collection or not. So those kind of thing is just coded here. So once I run this Python code, let me just do that. Okay. So now we are getting those 5 documents. We can just see it is attempting to connect to the MongoDB on this port, which is a default port 27017. MongoDB connection is successful. We found 733 documents in this, which makes sense. And these are the 5 first document which just got extracted because we have just extracted only first 5 records, right? So this is what I wanted to cover in this video, and all those code which you are seeing here, you will find in my GitLab repo. But what you have to do, you have to share your email ID so that I can just give you the access, because that is my private repo, and I'm just giving that access to my repo based on what whosoever is interested in to get the access. Right. So that's pretty much it for this video. In the next video, we are going to see how we can integrate this knowledge base to our RAG application, where I'm going to explain each and every line of code which you are seeing here in a more detail so that you can understand what's precisely going on and how to use this pymongo Python client library. That's it from my side for this video. If you really like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up. And if you feel this kind of video can help your friends, colleagues, and group, please feel free to share with them. And if you haven't subscribed for my channel, please subscribe for my channel as well. As always, thanks for watching this, and stay healthy and keep learning new things.